Yeah, mecha anime is huge. We know it. But what's so special about fighting inside a huge mechanical suit anyways? Isn't it just regular stuff where a guy sits inside a unit and pilots the suit by pressing buttons and shooting lasers? Well, the answer to these questions would be yes and no. Not that there's something wrong with someone just piloting a suit, because that's exactly what happens in Code Geass, which is an incredible anime, but in some cases, these mechanical suits are bioorganic, which means that it bonds with their pilot or host, giving them full control over their powers. As a result, you become the suit you're fighting in, which is exactly why Takaya Yoshiki's Guyver, the bio-boosted armor, is not only a cool anime, but also a fiesta of body horror. However, it is far from being the only anime or manga ever to dive into the dark depths of bonding a human with metal. So today's video will be all about 10 such dark anime that dabble in the realm of a human's relationship with their armor in the face of evil. Although we absolutely do not want to spoil the anime, we will go over the premise of the show. So if you're the type of viewer who enjoys going in blind, you've been warned. Before diving into the content, we would like to make a very small request to our viewers. Please subscribe to Marvelous Videos, like and comment on our content, and press the bell icon to be notified whenever we upload a video. We'd be grateful to you, and we hope to bring you the best nerdy content in the future. So without further ado, let's jump right into things. Number 1. Fullmetal Alchemist, 2003 and 2009. We're starting off the list with Hiromu Arakawa's Fullmetal Alchemist, which is only one of the highest rated shonen mangas of all time. It has 2 adaptations, with the 2003 version straying from the manga after a point due to the delayed releases of the chapters, while the 2009 adaptation stays more faithful to the source. But in both cases, Alphonse Elric starts his story in the same unfortunate manner. In a world where alchemists can use their abilities to fight evil, brothers Edward and Alphonse Elric possess a natural knack for it. However, the law of alchemy states to get something, you need to give something of equal value in return. So when their mother dies an untimely death, the brothers dip their toes into the taboo of human transmutation, hoping to bring their mother back to life. Of course, such a thing was impossible, and Alphonse had to pay for the life he was trying to get with his own. But Edward, who had already lost his left leg in the process, could not bear to lose his little brother as well. And so, he exchanged his left arm to get his brother's soul back. Unable to get Alphonse's body, Edward drew a transmutation circle inside a nearby suit of armor using his blood and performed alchemy to bond his brother's spirit to the piece of metal. Devoid of a regular human body and stuck in a piece of armor, Alphonse was detached from physical human experiences and a normal life. So the two brothers set off on a journey to find the Philosopher's Stone, hoping to restore their bodies back to how they used to be. However, their path was filled with obstacles and violence, where Alphonse's metal suit came into great use due to its terrific resilience and durability. With a human body, Alphonse would have never had the strength to defend Edward in several different situations, and despite his now huge size, he continued to be quite agile. The story is deep, dark, emotional, and a roller coaster ride of everything you could ask from an anime. Although the 2003 adaptation went on to be much different from the manga, it did become extremely grim and dark, while the faster-paced Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood managed to be so brilliant that it is no stranger to finding itself as a favorite for many. Number 2. Neon Genesis Evangelion, 1995. Neon Genesis Evangelion is complicated to say the least. At face value, it's a show about giant mechanical robots called Evas fighting against other giant mechanical robots known as Angels, hoping to save humanity from a catastrophe. These Evas are equipped with various weapons and incredible designs that make them strong, agile, resourceful, and durable in battle. These suits were created by an organization known as NERV, and more specifically, a man named Gendo, who also happens to be the absent father of the depressed protagonist Shinji Ikari. Set in a world where an event known as the Second Impact had obliterated Antarctica and half of the world's population, NERV was determined to destroy the remaining angels by using their mechas. And strangely enough, it had been deduced that the most efficient pilots for the Evas were young teenagers who were conceived after the events of the Second Impact. This brought in the Machiavellian Gendo Ikari's son, Shinji, who was tasked with piloting Eva Unit 1. Meanwhile, Unit 0 finds its pilot in Rei Ayanami, while Asuka Langley Soryu became the pilot for Unit 2. These Evas had human souls within themselves, which were synchronized to the souls of the human pilots using a liquid substance within the suit known as the LCL. The LCL caused the mind, body, soul, and nervous system of the pilot to merge with that of the Evas, which meant that the pilot could control the unit with their thoughts and actions. The higher the synchronization ratio, the better the pilot could perform, which is why NERV was so hell-bent on having capable pilots. The Evas could absorb the bodies and souls of humans as they were not exactly robots, much like their adversaries, the Angels. They were the way they were because mechanical components were added to their systems. Due to their biological nature, the units could go berserk, acting outside their artificial inputs. But the show itself is primarily about the mental issues experienced by the young pilots, and due to their link with the Evas, their mindset proved to be an issue with respect to their units and their effectiveness as pilots. Neon Genesis Evangelion is a show that goes above and beyond its action. In fact, the violence and the action aren't even central to the show. It's believed that the creator's experience with clinical depression played a huge role in influencing the anime, which dabbles in the array of negative emotions felt by the show's characters. When you start the anime, you are ecstatic to see cool battles, but by the time it ends, you know that you have experienced something truly profound. Number 3. Mobile Suit Gundam Wing, 1995. Probably one of the most renowned mecha animes ever, Mobile Suit Gundam Wing has played a massive role in the popularization of the genre. It's a classic anime that revolves around teenagers piloting giant robot suits, or Gundams, in their battle against an evil empire. Needless to say, each suit is unique and well-equipped, allowing it to take on a wide array of enemies. The show is set in a year known as After Colony 175, in a world where the nations of Earth have joined hands with one another, forming the United Earth Sphere Alliance. This alliance also possesses military might that allows them to colonize other places across space, which means that there are alien nations that want to fight Earth and gain independence. As such, one of Earth's extraterrestrial colonies launched Operation Meteor, resulting in the recruitment of 5 teenage pilots who would go to Earth in their Gundam suits. However, the pilots were unaware of one another at first, as they fought against their new adversaries from a mysterious organization named Oz. Oz was dedicated to taking over Earth's military, hoping to gain power across the planet and its several colonies. Eventually, the 5 teenagers get affiliated with one another and unite to kill the senior members operating within Oz. Unfortunately, they are tricked into killing the Alliance pacifist leaders, which gives Oz the ticket to becoming the ruling power. This also results in the public and the colonies siding against the Gundam pilots, but the 5 of them stick to their goals. Throughout everything, their suits continue to surprise viewers, and today, such designs are often implemented even in fashion, with Gundam headphones gaining popularity as a fashion statement. During the latter stages of the 1-year war, the Full Armor System and Weapon System, or the FSWS plan, was initiated by the Earth Federation forces to develop the Full Armor Gundam. Using the data from the prior designs, the newer units were amplified and enhanced using weaponry and additional armor, making them perfect for battle. One of the smartest tricks used was the addition of extra armor and weapons around places that were more prone to being damaged in battles, such as the chest, forearms, waist, shoulders, and legs. For example, the chests of the suit boasted missile bays, allowing the pilot to blast away attacks to its chest. As a result, they could simultaneously defend themselves and inflict damage on their opponents. Full Armor Gundams also had rocket launchers that offered it firepower comparable to the power possessed by a battleship. The leg armor had missile bays, while the right forearm sported a twin-beam rifle. Meanwhile, the left forearm was equipped with a small shield, and the additional armor on the back of the suit's waist had beam sabers. Finally, Vulcan guns were mounted on the suit. With such additions, the suit became too heavy, which dampened its mobility, but this could be countered by the fact that the legs used auxiliary propulsion units while the additional equipment was removable. The suit also possessed a core block system in the cockpit, which could eject in case of emergencies. Due to its versatile array of features, the Gundam suits were perfectly equipped for battle within the tumultuous realm of this violent anime. Number 4. Chorus, 2005. The 2005 anime Chorus is set in a world where humans and ghosts, or yokai, live on the same plane, but they never notice one another. Meanwhile, the laws of nature are enforced by the Chorus, which plays on the Japanese word karasu, that is, crows. In Japanese folklore, crows are considered to be neutral parties who are neither deemed to be good nor evil. You may even recognize this word from Haikyuu, where the volleyball team Karasuno was symbolized by crows. The main car is Otoha, had the ability to create a suit of armor using the power of Karas. However, he found his adversary in Echo, his former mentor, who wanted to use his mechanized demon army known as Mikura to take over Tokyo. These demonic forces threaten the human race that exists, and they can only be stopped by Karas, who has sold his soul in death to gain superpowers that allow him to turn into an armor-clad human who wields a katana. He would be a doctor to the demons by day and hunt the bad ones down at night. But of course, he's not the only Karas. That would just make the protagonist way too unbeatable, which mostly doesn't happen outside of One Punch Man. Oroha used to be a Yakuza, but as a Karas, he adopted a quest for vengeance that led to him slaughtering Mikuras as he tried to recover the body of his lover who had been murdered. The show very evidently blends Japanese traditions with technology, where the power of the Yukai is reduced with the increase in Tokyo's technological prowess. Meanwhile, the Mikuras turned into cyborgs, allowing them to regain their strength. They were also connected to the city, in the sense that the death of a Mikura would have an impact on the natural framework of Tokyo. So, although both Karas and Guyver possess the element of mechanized suits and are set in a world where the events affect the regular citizens aside from the players of the game, Karas strays away from Guyver's strictly sci-fi theme. Number 5. Zetman, 2012. This story is based on Masakazu Katsura's manga, and it's set in a sphere where the world finds a threat in monsters known as players. These monsters, or players, fight each other to their deaths in order to entertain the elite socialites gambling on their chances of winning. However, due to them having a mind of their own, they shifted their focus to killing humans and attaining freedom, making them a threat that needed to be taken down. They also had a group known as Evol, which advocated for them to coexist with humans. But not every player felt the same way. Kind of like the mutants from X-Men when Professor X wished for humankind and mutant kind to coexist, but Magneto didn't. However, the players live in disguise as humans, making them hard to spot and eliminate for safety. Of course, there is a way to stop them, and in Zetman, it is Jin Kanzaki who can do it. And how does he do it? Well, he can turn into a Zet, who is superhuman. Kanzaki had been experimented on, which led to him being able to become Zetman. Although he lived in hiding, he would resurface from time to time as his alter ego to fight the players and the Amagi Corporation, which was the association that had created not just the monsters, but him as well. He wasn't the only one who could turn into this mechanized superhero though. Interestingly enough, he found an ally in the son of Amagi Corporation's president, whose name was Kuga. He happened to be Jin's best friend. Like Jin, Kuga too could turn into a being with superpowers, who was known as Alpha. What makes Zetman and Guyver similar is that both shows dive into young men who have the ability to transform, although they are differentiated by Zetman's Jin having his powers forced on him, while Guyver's show acquired them by accident. But both protagonists were the products of an evil organization that they wanted to take down. However, Jin has more control over Zetman compared to Sho, who often enters a state of berserker rage. Number 6. Tekkaman Blade, 1992. The 1992 series Tekkaman Blade was written by Satoru Akahori and Mayuri Sekijima. As you would expect, the show revolves around an organization named the Space Knights and its fight against Radom. Their adversaries were aliens. Meanwhile, the Space Knights had found their ace in Takaya Aiba, who could transform into the titular warrior Tekkaman Blade. The show is a remake of the 1970s sci-fi classic of the same name by Tatsunoko. However, the anime is only loosely based on the original, as it imitates the premise and some of the surface elements, but eventually dives into its own original story. As a result, one does not have to visit the 1970s Tekkaman to enjoy or understand the anime. Takaya is an amnesiac teenager who goes by the name D-Boy. Due to his reckless nature, the D in his name stands for dangerous. However, mysterious circumstances lead to Takaya acquiring the power to summon a suit of armor and don it. Using a crystal called the Tech Setter, Takaya pulls off this feat and gains his superhuman powers. With Earth losing the battle against Radom and the planet's defense being overrun, mankind finds itself in a dire and desperate situation. The Space Knights cannot seem to keep up either, but thank God for Takaya, who falls from the sky and transforms into Tekkaman. As Tekkaman, D-Boy, or Takaya, or whatever you'd like to call him, is one of the universe's most formidable forces in the realm of battle, and Takaya only has one goal. He wants to destroy Radom. But here's the catch. He doesn't know why he feels the need to do so. Takaya has lost his memory, so he has no recollection of the reason behind his motives. He just knows that he needs to defeat Radom by hook or by crook. He summons a suit of armor that fuses with his body, just like how Sho from Guyver does. Their only similarity lies in the fact that both protagonists have to deal with fights against their families and the resulting traumas. Number 7. New Hurricane Polymar, 1996 to 1997. Tatsuo Yoshida's Hurricane Polymar revolves around a man named Takeshi Yoroi, who dons a special suit that allows him to become adept at fighting crime. This unique suit is made of memory plastic, a versatile material that allows Takeshi to adopt any shape or transform into 5 different types of vehicles. Needless to say, his alter ego is known as Hurricane Polymar. He was originally supposed to be a criminal investigator. At least, that's what the director of the International Secret Police Agency, Onigawara, wanted. Takeshi was trained to be great, allowing him to acquire skills that were comparable to those possessed by experts in martial arts and sports. However, both Takeshi and Onigawara possessed completely different opinions on how one should fight crime, which ultimately resulted in Onigawara disowning him. Takeshi went on to become an assistant and handyman to a private detective named Joe Kuruma, but in secret, he acquired an artificial material known as polymet from a scientist. Polymet was an artificial polymer that was a lot stronger than steel. This polymar was developed by a high-tech research center known as Tokyo Plus. Also known as Man-Machine, the late Dr. Oregar had been developing this technology, but it went on to be stolen by the loyal subjects of Nova, the Cat Sharks, as they wanted to implement their devious plans. With Takeshi gaining the polymer as a birthday gift, his powers were multiplied to a great extent whenever he used his polymet to transform into Hurricane Polymar. As a superhero, he fought against various gangs, including Nova and his followers, who posed a great threat. His new physical abilities, combined with his training under Onigawara, allowed him to fight against the Cat Sharks. Too bad they would often return stronger than ever. As Hurricane Polymar, Takeshi not only had enhanced strength, but could also perform high-speed rotation. His suit lasted for 46 minutes and a second before turning Takeshi into his base form again. Failure to transform back resulted in him passing away due to hyperthermia. That said, even in his Hurricane Polymar form, he was definitely not invincible, because temperatures lower than negative 50 degrees Celsius caused his suit to lose power. Being powered by magnesium, Hurricane Polymar was also vulnerable to high voltage. Number 8. AM Driver, 2004. Neon Ad Systems have always produced works based on video games and manga. However, various planning discussions led to them releasing AM Driver in 2004, making it their first original work. Based on the future, AM Driver presents a world where humankind has been held hostage by an uncanny weapon named the Bug Sheens for the past few years. But there is always a light at the end of the tunnel, and in this anime, it comes in the form of a tribe of warriors known as the AM Drivers. The Bug Sheens in question are destructive mechas, and only the AM Drivers can stop their menace. These drivers have been trained at a school and equipped with special weapons to fight. As a result, they protect the public. However, things are not as simple as they seem to be. The AM Drivers are somewhat of a reality show product, which means that throughout their saving the people actions, they must act a certain way and possess a flair of showmanship in order to retain and increase their popularity. The more popular an AM Driver gets, the larger their budget becomes, which means that their mecha suits get better equipment. With this show, Neon Ad Systems discarded the traditional route of putting a human in a suit, and instead went with the darker style of bonding the hero in a power suit with his mecha, much like we see in Guyver and Neon Genesis Evangelion. Number 9. Knights of Sidonia, 2014. Stomu Nihei's Knights of Sidonia follows the story of an underdweller named Nagate Tanikaze. Sidonia is a massive starship in the year 3394, which finds itself in trouble as a hostile shape-shifting alien species known as the Gauna threatens to destroy it. It is a world where Earth has already been destroyed 1,000 years ago, thanks to the Gauna, the reason behind which continues to be a mystery. Humans had escaped the catastrophe by boarding ginormous spacecrafts which were created from the remains of a destroyed Earth. Among these spacecrafts is the Sidonia, where civilization mimics that of Japan. Meanwhile, asexual reproduction, human cloning, and human photosynthesis are common methods that allow the multiplication of the population. Large mechanized weapons called Guardies or Guardians are used to defend Sidonia. The Higgs particle, which is also known as the God particle, is a key player in powering the mobility and weaponry of the mechanized armor. They come with assault weapons that specialize in long-range combat, and spears known as the Kabizashi that specialize in close combat. Meanwhile, the later models come with firearms that can destroy a Gauna's core. However, they are not just used to fight Gaunas, but also as scouts to collect resources. The people of Sidonia get screened and drafted at a young age to become pilots for Guardies, provided that they have the aptitude for it. Meanwhile, the Gaunas have an impenetrable core protected by malleable flesh. The destruction of the core leads to the disintegration of the Gauna's body, and this can be performed by not just the Guardi's firearms, but also the tip of the Kabizashi in the case of older models. This brings us to Nagate Tanikaze, who is an underdweller in Sidonia and has trained himself to be a master at piloting a Guardi. With Sidonia being threatened by the aliens, Nagate finds his destiny in becoming a Guardi pilot while defending the starship. These Guardis have several manufacturers depending on the models. Mostly the manufacturing is handled by Kunado Developments or Toha Heavy Industries. With the passage of time, the suits develop more and more. They are characterized by their humanoid frames and ability to fly across space. This flight, although limited for a sole Guardi, can be amplified when several Guardis link with one another and create clasp formations. This is done by the units joining their hands, but they mostly operate in a 4-clasp formation. During a special situation where Nagate had exceeded his return distance to save another pilot, a 256 clasp formation was created to rescue him. Number 10. D. Gray Man, 2006. And finally on the list, we have the 2006 anime D. Gray Man. The story is set in the 19th century, where religion has found itself in a state of the supernatural. It follows exorcists who fight evil beings known as Akuma, which is the Japanese word for devil. The show is episodic in nature, with 3 or 4 episodes comprising one story. The characters in each mini-story have their personal struggles, which can be cured by the magical power of innocence. Sounds cliche, right? Well, innocence isn't exactly what you think it is. The term actually refers to armored suits that the protagonists wear for strength and agility during their fights against their opponents. However, the word has clearly been used as a metaphor. Some of the main characters are Alan Walker and Kanda, who often have internal struggles that lead to them seeking the power of innocence. But this brings Alan Walker and his gang to different agendas, causing them to go against one another. The characters' problems are exploited by the Akuma, who use their pain to push them into a bargain where they can bring back loved ones who have passed away. However, they have to pay a hefty price for it, and unfortunately, the victims remain oblivious to this part of the bargain at first. With the power of innocence, Alan has to battle the Akuma, as he had been sent to an organization called the Black Order to become an exorcist and fight Millennium Earl and the Akumas. Marvelous verdict. Mecha anime is much broader than humans finding themselves in tech suits and fighting one another, and armor is a lot more than a piece of metal with a good defense. We hope the anime from today's list proves that, with their intricate storylines and dark themes. With that, today's video comes to an end. What did you think of these 10 anime? Did you enjoy this video? If so, then don't forget to like and comment on this video. Till then, goodbye, and have a marvelous day.